Hey guys, welcome to Georgia 4Low. Today we're going to answer a question that we get a lot of, especially on some of the Facebook groups and everything, and that's why we went from a 222 FSH to a 252 FSH, basically the 22-foot center console to the 25. One main reason, because it's the wife's boat. She wanted a bigger boat, so we went that route. But we'll talk about some of the features of what she liked about the 25-footer. And then we'll talk about a couple things we've learned since we've had the 25. We've only been out in it twice. This is our second day. So let's walk to the back of the boat, because that's where the features that she liked, that she wanted, that changed her mind over the 22-foot to the 25. And one area is this leaning post area right here. If you look, the leaning post configuration is definitely a lot different. The 22-footer, the leaning post and the cooler sits on top of the engine compartment. We wanted this idea, or she liked that idea, and then sold me on. I'm like, that is great. We can walk around the leaning post completely. So you got freedom to walk all the way around the leaning post. And the cooler with the 22-footer, the cooler and the leaning post is, like I said, on that engine compartment. Anytime you want to get into the cooler, you got to drag it out. Okay. Now, if we were just hopping along a couple of places, we'd just leave it out, not secure it. But most of the time, we're dragging that thing in and out, and it's just bulky and heavy. Seen some cool tricks where people put some little roller wheels on it. That was pretty cool. I was going to do that if we kept that boat maybe, but this is one main reason right here, and the other is this area right here. Not so much the bench seating, you know, the 25-footer, this flips up, and you got cushions on each end, and you got a bench seat right here. But we wanted this space here. As you can see how much more open this area is. This was cramped. A little cramped on the 25 or the 22-footer, but you can see how much more open it is on the 25. So when we go down to the Gulf of America and we're in the bays, or actually just out in the Gulf doing some fishing, this area becomes so much more usable for that. The T-top is, you know, you got to really get to the edge for the T-top to be in your face, where on the 22 you had to be a little cautious about that, because the T-top and the rod holders were pretty close to where your head's at. So that was the main reason we went from a 22 to a 25, and the reason we stayed with a 252 is because of the 1.9 liter engines. I like the fact that they're not supercharged, turbocharged, all that crap or whatever. They don't take premium fuel, and we had them in the last boat, and I thought they ran really good. They were quieter than I think some of the other engines like TR1s. And they were good to us, so, and we don't have to put premium fuel in this boat, so that was another key plus. Now, a couple things that I've learned since we've had the 25-footer, I'm glad that we got it, was one, is this leaning post, you can literally, it's got bolstering on the back and on this flip-up part right here, so when you're actually sitting in this thing, it actually is more comfortable. The bolstering helps secure you and keep you held in place when you're driving. But I thought when this was flipped down, I didn't think it would be that comfortable, but this is actually very comfortable to sit on. You actually flip the little footrest down, and now you can literally sit up here and drive the boat. And you can see how close I am to the controls, the steering wheel, everything. You can literally sit up here and drive the boat. With the 22-footer, when we did some long trips to Cape San Blast and Crab Island, we're standing the whole time. That seat, the leaning post on the 22 was so far back from the console, it just didn't make sense to sit up on it. The height was a little off. Even with Stacy sitting over here, she would try to sit up on it, but where it was so far off the console, her arm is like this, trying to extend out to hold on. Now she can ride up here, we both can ride up here comfortably and actually drive the boat, and you're not having to stand up the whole time. I didn't realize that this was going to be that huge of a benefit. You got the footrest, as I mentioned, so that's a huge plus. Kick that up, and then now when you are standing, this really helps secure the lower part of your body a lot better, just where it's got a little bit of bolstering and things. But that, I mean, other than that, I do miss the electronic controls that we had on the 222 Sport E. That was a sweet little control box on the Sport E model. It's kind of small. The electronic throttle was just beautiful, butter smooth. This is more of a, like a 704 conventional binnacle mount from Yamaha that's all mechanical, which is fine. It works great. It's a proven control box, but the Sport E did have a nice little control box. But other than that, I think that's about the only one reason why we went to the 25, and then some of the extra things that we found out about the boat. Oh, one other thing we were heavily surprised on was just how much better it rides than the 222. I'm not going to say it's, I don't know, I'm not going to say it's night and day, but there's at least a good 30-40% improvement or better, maybe a 50% improvement over the 22-footer. This boat, given its extra length and weight, it just seems to be settled a little bit more, especially if you're out on the lake. If you're lake, this is Lake Altoona, and when it's rough out and there's a lot of boat traffic, this thing is like a washboard. You know, you got waves bouncing off the banks, coming back out, and everything's just moving around like a washboard. That threw the 22-foot around a little bit. It just kind of pitched it around, and it wasn't very comfortable at times. But this boat settles down, actually tries to do a little bit more of actually displacement of the wave, per se, and kind of plowing through it a lot better. It still has some of the jet boat quirks of the jet boat hull, but definitely rides better. We're impressed with that for sure. So if you got any questions, drop those below. Be willing to help you out, answer anything that I can. But so far, we love the 252 FSH, and look forward to some more videos. Hopefully y'all do, and thanks for watching.